Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Simply Sketchy. Today, I have brought with me a friend that actually never has been neither on stream or on the channel except for in the chat. My dear friend, Wenis. Do you introduce yourself, my
Yes,
friend?
hi. Sure. So I don't know in what capacity we share like our proper names, but yeah, most people know me by what you said. Venice is W1ES
Yes.
basically. So it's player words in terms of using numbers instead of letters, etc. Most of you probably understand that already.
Yep.
And yeah, quite quite simply explained, I'm Norwegian, the same way Trim is, and we've known each other for how many years now? We
Uh,
borderline 6 or 7,
did we
or
meet like?
is it even more?
No, dude. We met back in wasn't it like 2016, 2017?
Something like that, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So, well, we're almost at our 10-year anniversary. It's a couple of
Oh,
years more.
adorable. Remember to bring
Yes.
gifts, huh?
Oh yeah, you better. I'm probably gonna as well. No, yeah. So we met through mutual friends, basically,
Yep.
and funnily enough, we have no contact with those individuals in any way, shape, or form. I think, at least I don't today.
Me neither. It's kind of funny because he was more an acquaintance. He was a really nice guy though, but never really. He was more focused on business than anything, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. No, it's basically what we met through. It's basically businesses and building something, and we just kept the friendship going
yeah,
instead of letting it fade away. And I'm very happy we have kept it because, well, as most of you who participate in all of these streams, so Trim is a very talented individual, as you can see, very creative, and also most of the time, at least, a very funny individual. So he's worth keeping around. Let's say.
keeping
I
tabs on
know.
me.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of, I don't want to say like just keeping him around is not the right terminology, I'd say, but like I'm happy he's my friend is probably the best way to say it.
It's all right.
So
We talk a lot.
basically,
We communicate through ownership on this channel. Like Basic is in my cellar,
yeah,
editing for me, of
absolutely.
course.
Yeah, I shook his hand before coming here, so
Yes.
very very nice of him to take the time, even though he's shackled down. Impressive.
Don't need to tell them about the shekels.
Oh, sorry. Well, you said I couldn't not talk about it either.
Shit.
They're on your rule set there, sir.
Darn it.
But anyway, since he did say hello, I'll give my regards to him as well here. He's done a phenomenal job in terms of editing and all of those things as well. So it's a clearly beneficial partnership you've built up here, Trim.
Yeah.
No doubts about that.
He's a good friend too. Surprisingly patient though. That's the funniest part.
Well, aren't we all?
Yeah, y'all know me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I know my weaknesses.
Honesty is a virtue, you know.
uh,
That's what they
Indeed.
say.
It's mostly because I suck at lying, anyways.
Well, there is that too.
Yes. So no need to cover my ass.
Well, no need to show it either, if you know what I'm saying.
What? Honesty or my ass?
I was leaving that for open interpretation, but sure, whatever. Now they can choose instead. So yeah,
OnlyFans
either
somewhere
one, I'd
this
say.
time of year.
Oh no, sir. We don't we don't dabble over there.
No, we don't. We have
No.
standards, surprisingly.
Well,
So,
yes.
as you're probably seeing, this is a for everyone that isn't a what's the newest
Boomer.
generation. Actually, boomers know
Uh,
it too. Like most
well,
boomers I
it
know.
would be Gen Z now, wouldn't it?
Whatever
I saw some
generation.
chart. somewhere, wherever.
All right. So yeah, if you're not a Gen Zer who has any movie taste, everybody will probably remember this one. Today we are talking about Matrix.
Yes.
So we're drawing
Uh,
a scene you're particularly fond of.
yes. For me, this signifies uh, a huge development in CGI, basically, in terms of movies, because everything you see before this movie, in terms of CGI, I would uh, say looks very poorly made.
Yeah.
But watching the first movie of this, well, originally trilogy. I know there's a fourth now, and it's actually good for the people who haven't seen it. Out of spite or out of principle, you should actually see it. It's not bad. It's a little bit confusing, but see it 2 times, and you'll get it way more.
All right.
But yeah, to be fair, the first one actually just quite literally blew my mind. I remember where I was when I saw it. It was at a birthday party at one of my friends, and he had gotten to rent this movie um against his mother's judgment, but his brother had rented it anyway because he was much older. So he said, "Yeah, I'll let you watch it if you let me just, well, do whatever he decided to do that evening." I don't even remember what he did, but it was a mutual agreement not to tell the parents. So none of us did, and we watched that movie. And I remember when the explanation of how things work in the movie, how logical it all sounded. Like every part of it was just super logical, which many of my friends, even today, didn't see it as a logical movie. They saw it like just a movie. While I was more metaphoric with it and like, oh, I see what they're trying to say, and kind of seeing what they think we're perceived as by corporate, let's say, not to get too politically involved here, but like it's basically you're trapped in what seems to be a seemingly perfect environment and state,
Yep.
and you have this nagging sensation that it's not, and then it turns out it actually isn't, and they do it to turn you into just something that helps produce, or in this case a battery. Not to give any super spoilers, but if you haven't watched this movie by this time, you can just shut up and take the spoilers. You you missed out.
I want to recommend watching The Matrix. They, even for the
Yes.
people who don't quite like them, just the camp
Yes.
factor are just good at this
Mm-hmm.
point.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And also just how far ahead they had actually kind of seen, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
It's just everything we're viewing today and everything we're experiencing today is quite literally, well, at least metaphorically speaking, exactly what the movie said.
Yeah. If we look away from the squid death robots,
Uh,
it's pretty
yes,
accurate.
yeah, but I mean, we are so well involved in creating those things now with AI and everything and robotics that sure, jump us like 70, 80 years in the future, probably that's not too strange of a concept.
Nah, I'm personally don't think that we're gonna have like a rogue sentient machine uprising, but
Really?
I think it's gonna be a mix of Dune and the Matrix. That the guys in charge of the
Oh,
machines are gonna be the one causing the thingy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
for sure.
so the architect is gonna be a flesh and skin dude. Let's be honest.
Yes, I agree. Full on. That's also a spoiler though, but yeah. Well, you don't really tell much by saying the name, but or the word. But
Exactly.
yeah, I fully agree. I think we already have those in big corporate. To be honest, they
Wef. What?
Yeah. Excuse me. But yeah, no, it's. I think we're already there in terms of those type of things. It's just that right now the technology isn't well enough developed
Yeah.
for us to see it the way that this movie is portraying. But every piece of, how do you say, experience that we're having through doing all of the applications to try and get what we want, we see a very clear setup that they are already imposing a lot of things to make us just, oh yeah, no, we can't do that,
Yeah.
or it's going to be too expensive, or too restrictive, or we don't have what it is expected that we need to present, and all of it's actually just fictitious, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
False limitations and bullshit
Yes,
keeping
for
us down.
sure. Like every bank account now is filled with fictitious numbers. We don't print money the same way anymore. So if you go to a bank and you ask them for a loan, then it's based on a statement that you have credit, and based on how strong that statement is, they put in the fictitious number into your bank account, and then you have this currency basically,
Right.
right? Yeah. So all they have to do to either free you completely from it is give you the credit or the statement, and you can have as much as you want, or they can do the opposite and say no. Is we're now putting out a statement that he is not able to get this, and then that's all that's needed.
Yeah. And you live and
Yeah,
die by those numbers because if you then
yeah,
cross the wrong people, oopsie daisy.
exactly. That's what I'm saying, and this is pretty much well put into these movies, I would say, and that's what also makes the fourth one very interesting because it's so much later. Time has passed so much that now it was clear that they found it kind of difficult on where to put the characters in terms of what has happened. Because I dare say it's so similar to what they wanted the first one to be now in the real world, you know. So there's nothing there's nothing how do you say, spectacular or thought provoking showing the real world, because it's basically what the Matrix was. Make
Yeah.
sense?
It was. It
Yeah.
was a.
Yeah.
It was a very non-hidden allegory for real life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in this modern time, it is like that at the moment. So it's what fascinates me with
Yeah.
the fourth one, but it's also what fascinates me about how we're going through life at the moment. You know,
Yeah.
it's very clear that many of us aren't even able to afford like a tenth and a, well, 25% of what the generations before us were able to get themselves with the same uh, money that we're left with after bills and taxes.
Yeah. You got that is damn truth. Just hell.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly make more money for my work than what my parents did at my age, and
Mm-hmm.
they could afford a house, and I
Yes,
have
sir.
to rent. So you know.
Yes, and they're doing it on purpose, right? That's the whole point.
Oh yeah.
They're
Oh yeah.
they're just pushing this through.
This is something we're very familiar on, especially on the Sultans. But so
Mm-hmm.
instead of getting all black pilled here, I recommend we take a trip into Matrix Land because at least there you
Yeah,
can dodge the bullets.
that's also what fascinated me with the movie, the symbolism of dodging the bullets. You know,
Hmm.
the symbolism of what Neo is supposed to be. Because if you focus on the movie itself and just what it's supposed to represent, I think many people miss the point. I think many saw like, oh, this guy has superpowers, and that's not what the message of the movie is at all. If you ask me,
No,
I don't
go
know how
ahead.
you perceived it when you saw it. Like,
Well, To me, it seems the abilities you gain depended on
Hmm.
your understanding of the system. If
Yes.
you could understand the system, you could quote unquote hack the system and
Yes.
manipulate it to your will. So it's in a way, it
Hmm.
is kind of like how my favorite magic systems work. It is based upon
Hmm.
your understanding of the world you're in. If you're how far
Yeah.
are you able to break the illusion?
Hmm. And you are very much spot on, to be fair. Um, because the way I see it is basically he was used to show us what we're capable of doing, but in like a very, can I say, bombastic way? I'm not sure how to.
Flamboyant? Maybe,
No, I
nah,
wouldn't.
that's not the right one.
Um, what adjective would fit this?
Um,
Uh,
Two Norwegians trying to find English words. This is a good one.
yeah, exactly. Um, I wouldn't say in an extreme way, but kind of like his showing of his superpowers and the ability to dodge bullets and so on in the first one is very telling that you can actually avoid whatever society might throw your way, right? Like the bullets or the agents, etc.
Yeah.
Like the deeper meaning of them are basically. I'll try to avoid the politicalness of it since you were speaking of the Sultans as well.
Yeah.
Uh, but let's say um, bullets are basically taxes, etc. And if you're in debt, agents are the debt collectors.
Oh yeah.
Let's put it that way, right? So, and then leaving it there. So for me, if you apply what Neo is supposed to symbolize, then if you apply it into normal life, he's basically showing you, yeah, it might seem scary, yeah, it might seem very controlled and very like systematic, but if you understand the system and you know why the things happen, right?
Mhm.
Like they say, you already made the choice. You have to understand why you made the choice, right?
Mhm.
And that's the whole point. In the two ones after, he doesn't even have to dodge the bullets, right? Because he's fully understood how everything works. So the bullets aren't the same threat to him
Yeah.
anymore,
He's able to
right?
fight.
So,
He's able to fight the harsher
mhm,
battles on equal terms with the bad guys, essentially.
yes, because he's quite literally educated himself, and that's kind of the same in terms of, well, being an adult as well, I would say,
Yeah.
because it's quite simply if you learn how to use tax systems and so on to your benefit instead, then you're basically untouchable,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of how we met as well, right?
Yeah.
Through business and such.
We are totally not saying that tax evasion is a
No, no, no,
moral
no, no,
good. No, totally not.
no, no, no. That's
No,
absolutely not what we're saying. But at least
never.
what we are saying is that if you understand how that works and how you're able, not evasion, but you understand how the tax system works,
Yep.
then you're also able to use it to your benefit, meaning stopping the bullets instead of dodging them.
I like this metaphor of the Matrix more than I previously
Hmm.
thought it was.
Yes, because most people I speak to, or having seen the movie, especially when they actually came out, didn't understand that point of it. They're just like, no, 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 he's there because he's showing us, oh, we won't be oppressed, oh, we will fight back, all those types of things. Like, I don't think you quite grasped what the point was here,
Uh,
because the
I
main
have a
point is he
feeling that
was
the
never able
Russo,
to.
I have a feeling that the Russos, or
Hmm.
I'm not gonna call them Russo sisters. I'm pretty sure that the Russo brothers, they themselves kind of forgot the meaning of Matrix after a while. Maybe they got some innate understanding, but whenever they tried to talk about it in public, it's it's something that it doesn't seem quite fitting with what they're intending.
Of course, because it has to be visually shown. It was the same when they offered the role actually to Will Smith as well. When he read the script, he couldn't make any. It didn't make any sense because they aren't able to explain it in words or even written words. They had to show a visual. So if they had shown him like a clip of what they were thinking, instead of writing this guy jumps off of a wall and kicks a guard in the face, right? Your imagination, at least at that point of time, couldn't fathom why would a guy be running up on the wall to kick a guy in the face, right? Unless it's a Japanese martial arts movie or some stuff like that.
Yeah. Or
So
in some cases, the rule of cool.
true, but the rule of cool mostly came after
It did.
this movie, right?
Well, at least in the
Because the
official terms, you could say.
yes, yeah, I agree. Like the rule of cool basically was in every martial arts movie from the 70s and up until now. But we didn't watch that back in the day because, well, we weren't Asian, you know. We didn't have access to those movies.
No, we
But
didn't.
now with internet and everything, we can see everything. So cool factors like that and stuff like this is much more prominent now than I think this movie paved a lot of the way for that.
Yeah. Or they were at least more of a niche, and then Matrix came
Oh,
out and made it
definitely.
a lot more, much more popular in the public zeitgeist.
Yeah, I'd say so. They made it much more popular than before, and I think it also opened up for the combination of using your brain while watching a movie at the same time as being mesmerized by pretty good, at least action sequences. I won't
Yeah.
say that the story of the second one is very good. Reloaded was kind of like, okay, so why are we doing this? Oh, there's no particular reason why.
The second
It's just,
movie was more like just pure build-up for the last movie.
yeah, yeah. Basically, you're just creating plots, and then you're trying to tie them up in the last one, and that makes for, in my opinion, poor storytelling. Didn't focus as much in the personal relationships of the people who were introduced, and also the fact that there were several characters missing in a large way. That didn't get much of an explanation unless you saw that animatrix type of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, that
Then
was
it
some.
was a little bit.
Ooh, that was some
That was
wicked shit.
weird stuff. That was weird
Dude,
stuff.
remember the machine war clip? That was
Yeah.
messed up.
Yes.
Like that.
Right.
There's
Crazy.
two scenes from that because Animatrix was one of those. For those who haven't seen it, it was one of those animation, essentially a whole movie, but it's comprised of short stories by different
Yes.
animation studios. And the
Hmm.
Human War story was essentially a description of how humanity ended up screwing itself by mistreating machines.
Yes.
And the part where humanity goes to war against the machines,
Hmm.
it's a brutal one, but it
Very.
shows. I mean, it shows off people in the worst way possible.
Yes.
And in the beginning, robots goes against us like basic bitch robots. It's
Hmm.
not really much combative force in them. However, when the old runs out, the new comes in, and
Yeah.
it just changes the fight to a
Hmm.
hellscape. Like, take that one dude in the mech where the mech is pried open, his arms and legs
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
inside the
Yeah.
machine. He just gets
No.
the scene cuts
No,
off
man.
just as he is torn out, but
Yes.
it shows just enough for you
Hmm.
to really see everything.
Yes. Quite simply, I love the way that it actually lets you imagine how bad it would be
Yeah.
at the same time, because it's just like it stops usually at just the perfect moments, and in the beginning it also even has you sympathizing with what is essential, uh, well, not alive things, let's say,
Yeah,
right? So.
the thing about the Matrix is the machines they were sentient back in the day,
Hmm.
or at least had a intelligence that was close to sentient. So in the Matrix, machines could think, they could feel, but people didn't really acknowledge them, which
Hmm.
resulted in, well, it's it's a very, if I'm gonna be honest, before it was generic,
Hmm.
it has become generic at this point, but
Yes.
It was very cartoonish how cruel some people were to the machines.
Hmm.
So you kind of understand why
Yes.
why the machines did
They,
what they did.
at least the very starting episodes of it,
Yeah,
or depictions of it, was, for me, it was just like, yeah, they they reap what they sow, kind of uh, stuff. Let's say.
yeah,
So for me, it was just like, yeah, they should have seen this coming, having done what they did. But that's also kind of the point that they're trying to show in the animatrix.
yeah,
Basically, that to stop pushing the envelope on so many things, and you should also like put that into aspects of your own life,
yeah.
right? You know, you're pushing too far in certain terms of certain aspects
In
in your
some
life, like.
ways, it's a good warning for the for those on top that you should
Hmm.
probably ease up on stepping down on those below you because sooner or later they'll be above you. Because
Yeah.
that's the thing about life in general. Nothing is static and remains the same. There's always change, and sooner or later you're gonna stay on the same position the guy beneath you has been, and he's gonna remember every single step you did on his head.
Yes, for sure. More often than not, at least, and that's also historically proven. You know,
Yeah,
so I love how they comprise all of these things and the significance of people, but the way they symbolize it, right? You know,
yeah.
the key maker,
Uh,
the guy who can give you a key to open any door,
yeah,
right? Yeah. Do you realize how anonymous he is in the movie itself, but
yeah.
how important he is?
He has an incredible ability, and yet he managed to keep
Yes,
himself hidden.
yes. So, but that's also, I think that's missing the point a bit as well, because yes, he managed to keep himself hidden, but that's in the plot, right? That's in the story. But if you look at bigger picture, what does he symbolize? What is the symbolicism of the keymaker?
Mm, I'm intrigued.
It's the guy that opens every door, right?
Yeah,
So he's basically the metaphor of knowing the correct person,
right.
and he literally never boasts about it or shows up the way you would expect someone like that to show up, right?
No,
He's so anonymous that he doesn't even have a name. His look is completely generic, and he basically makes the whole movie happen. He doesn't enter into the architect without those keys. He doesn't get away from at least three or four very sticky situations without those keys, right? And if you look at the outer symbolicism of that, is knowing the right person is what's going to get you out of sticky situations, but also present you with the situations that you need to find.
yeah,
And you never really know who that person is because they're so anonymous
yeah.
that they're hard to find. But when you find them, they're essential to what it is, whatever it is you're trying to achieve.
I mean, you also can
Makes
use
sense?
the term knowledge equals power, and the dude with the keys for everything has all the knowledge. He knows every door, he
Well,
knows every nook and cranny. He cannot be caught no matter what.
to a certain extent, yes, I agree with you, but I don't think it's what he knows. I think it's what he can give you access to, right? If we're looking at what a person knows, then that's basically the oracle, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, she knew everything and how it was going to play out, but she wouldn't tell you. Makes sense?
Yeah, in a way,
The
because she's
Yeah,
an oracle is again. I'm just gonna be a little bit more. I don't know method. I don't know what's the word
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking for. But the oracle usually signifies someone who's able to see into the future.
Hmm.
And what I think is she didn't give all the answers because at least this is popular in fiction that the oracle can't give you the direct answers because if she does, it might change the
Alters it.
outcome.
Yeah, yes. But what the oracle says in this movie is, on the other hand, you've already made the choice. You need to understand why you made the choice, right?
Mhm.
That's the difference here. So she doesn't really give you any tools to do either better or get out of the situation or anything. but everyone knows who the Oracle is, right? They know where she is and who she is, even though they swapped the actor and thought we wouldn't notice.
Mhm.
Um, but that's also very funny because the swapping of the actor is also the swapping, in my opinion, in many things in society, right? Let's look at. Uh, I'll keep it short. Let's look at the Norwegian care system, right?
Yep.
We now have our favorites with the three letters, but before that, they were three different entities, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Yes, exactly. So the change of the Oracle is basically how they changed that as well. The
Yeah.
task is the same, but they thought we would notice, you know?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
what is with the Matrix is that it is very open for interpretation. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
that makes it open for the accusation of just being artsy fartsy or just
True.
vacuous metaphors. But the thing is, it is what you make out of it. Because
Yeah.
another person I speak is last time I spoke with about the Matrix, he
Mm-hmm.
didn't have that much of a deep understanding of the Matrix, or he didn't
Yeah.
see it that deeply. Of course, there was the whole limitations and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
to him it was more of a spiritual thing.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see, but most people like to leap into that aspect of it. If you don't mind me saying,
That's
I'm
all right.
not saying that. I'm not saying that this person took that as an easy route, but most people now tend to look into that part of themselves or that part of how people look at things. Right?
Hmm.
There's never been more talk about that aspect of one's individual life than the past decade, probably. At least that's from what I can remember. I don't remember anyone speaking about this while I was in college or high school. You know,
Yeah.
like that wasn't even a concept almost. It was just no. And now it's just like, yeah, I'm very in touch with my inner self, etc., etc. And I'm like, uh, we've had so many generations before that probably also was, but they didn't set out on a years and years long journey and not putting in the work, let's say,
Yeah.
uh, and setting that as the reason as to why you didn't do the work.
Yeah. Or the whole self-discovery thing where you don't really
Yes,
discover anything.
it is such a heap of crap. Sorry,
Uh,
I
it's all right.
I wish I believed it more, to be honest, but I truly don't. It's you find yourself
It's
through.
essentially what you make of it when it comes to
Yes,
self-discovery. It's
yeah,
not this grand spiritual thing all the darn time.
no,
It's essentially what you decide to be. The meaning of life isn't
hmm
anything spectacular. It is reproduce and just enjoy life. And hell, that's just the most basic thing you can come up with it. But
hmm
if you want to get deeper with it, it is enjoy life as much as you can with those you care about.
yeah, I agree.
Again, it's very open for interpretation.
Yes. But I like the fact that he saw it more in a spiritual manner. But it also tells that this movie or this trilogy, whatever quadrilogy probably would be
We can
now.
go with trilogy for the moment.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Uh, Whoever saw it would have an opinion and interpret it based on how they themselves see their own situations, right? So I'm pretty sure I saw all of these things and thought about it this way because that was what I was experiencing myself. So it was easy for me to project that onto the symbolism and what each character would represent.
That's honestly the kind of movies I'm into. And the best part is
Mm.
nowadays, like the interpretation. You know that I said that his understanding is what allowed him to essentially have the power.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is not an interpretation I had 10 years ago.
Right?
Yeah. So it's
Because we're getting older, I would say.
oh yeah, and I'm kind of hyped. I kind of want to watch Matrix movies again sometime because
Oh, for sure.
they
Watch the first one.
they're pretty good movies. All
Oh, they're
all things
Great
considered.
movies,
Yeah, and
especially the first one, because the first one is timeless.
yeah,
The first one is timeless because there is nothing in that movie that that basically locks you into a specific time.
no, it's
It doesn't set you up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. You're just there.
I'd say
And
it does set you up in the it does set you up in the like between uh 80s post 80s essentially, semi industrial, though that is before he leaves the Matrix. Then you could be anywhere.
hmm, interesting that you would say that. Because for me, when they go and save, not to give it away, but when they make that decision to go pick someone up at this very tall building, you know,
Mhm.
and decide to use different utilities to be able to do that, uh, I'd say that there's nothing that reminds me of that time frame that you just described. It's too modern for that, I would say. And also the things that they're using. This is a good point on it. Everything, no matter how we perceive um, the time frame to be when he gets captured, for example, every bit of that just disappears the second they start using the different things like controlling the person's mind, the tracker that they put in his freaking belly that they have to extract. Remember, those
Yeah.
things are way too modern to lock him into that time frame. But he answers, I think, the call from the person they're saving in this tall building. So I'm really trying not to spoil here.
It's all
But
right. We can just slap a spoiler warning on.
yeah.
We can just
Sure.
slap a spoiler warning. That's all right.
All right. So basically, when he gets the call when he's in his office, right?
Mhm.
He's telling him, "You know who this is," and he says his name, and then I think that's a freaking flip phone. I think he answers on a flip phone.
Yeah. I mean, in
Yeah,
the
in terms
Matrix.
of dating the movie.
Yeah. I mean the time on the movie itself, like
Hmm.
the time era of the Matrix. It's around these. I want to say the 90s,
Yeah, late 90s,
80s.
early
Yeah.
2000s, maybe. Yeah.
But hell, humanity in that time frame is far more advanced. They're far further than just
Hmm.
that. But I
Hmm.
think that the machines put it there because that's the most
Well, he explains it,
complacent.
doesn't he?
Yeah, it's the most
He explains
complacent.
it too.
Yeah, the most complacent time period of humanity.
Yeah. They made it in that time period because that was when we perceived ourselves the most happy. And what do we see today? What do we see today? We see people saying it was way better back then, and then they're talking about the 90s, 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Which is insane to me, being my age. Like I remember entering into the year 2000 and being like, well, what's gonna happen now, type of thing. While I now most of my days here where I live, I meet people who are born way after, right?
Yeah.
In the streets, people I speak to, even some of the team members who enters the team at work are so young now that they have no idea, like genuinely no idea how it was back then because they have no concept of how it was because they're too young.
Yeah.
We have people above the age of 20 now that never ever was a part of what we love to talk about, and that's insane to me, and also very telling of how old I'm getting.
Yeah. We are of a little bit certain age.
Yeah, doesn't matter though. I thought it would be way worse than what it is. If you ask me, at least.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm curious about your perception of that. Basically, if we look at these movies, right? When you saw it the first time, what was what was the general feeling you sat with after?
I was pretty young the first time I watched it, so to me it was
Yeah.
very much action-oriented, a dude having the power and the other people having lesser power. So it's a bit of a power fantasy mixed with everyone has the ability to get it, though I didn't quite understand how.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really start getting really deep into the Matrix until, let's say, my late teens.
Yeah. So what emotion were you left with? Basically, did you connect with the main character, or did you connect with how difficult it seemed to be for everyone else?
Mm, the weird thing in the first one, I kind of connected with Neo on his path to just understand things, to break
Mm-hmm.
out of the routine that it was always on the back leg. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of I did have, the usual reaction you have when you see the hero finally starting to master everything. How Smith, who was this
Yes.
unstoppable force, suddenly was
Yeah.
countered without even trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but then I kind of turned around because then you had Agent Smith after he was destroyed, and he had
Mm-hmm.
this moment where he returned, but he
Yes.
wasn't who he was. Suddenly, I was
Mm-hmm.
far more interested in Agent Smith's journey because it was, while he is the antagonist and the downright
Mm-hmm.
the villain,
Yeah.
his story was something that kind of resonated. He was a guy who was working for something larger.
Mm-hmm.
That thing wanted it. Essentially, he was no longer useful to it and had to be destroyed, but he refused. He decided not to. He essentially, as Neo jumped into him and destroyed him from the inside, something from Neo remained in him. So, in a way, Smith made sure Neo was created, but Neo in turn recreated Smith.
Yeah.
So,
And,
there's sort of a deep meaning how
mm-hmm.
two what is the term? Two opposing forces
Mm-hmm.
will develop a lot if they keep their fight going. I mean, every time Neo blocked him, Smith just kept evolving. Of course, that was shown off screen to be every time he came back, there was always something new he could do. And
Yeah.
on screen, he just kept absorbing more people into his, you know, hive mind, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So.
Where Neo
Mm-hmm.
grew larger from within, Smith essentially grew without. The inversion of Neo, essentially.
Kind of, yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
For me, I feel that the symbolism between the two is they essentially want the same.
Yep.
They essentially want to be able to control what happens, right?
Yeah. Freedom.
And
I mean,
kind of, yeah.
yeah. Smith essentially just uh, outright states it that it is his world.
Hmm.
Someone who's been chained up himself, realizing freedom, but
Hmm.
without any temperance, he just hungers for it more and more until that hunger and need destroys him or allows for his destruction, essentially.
Yeah, I would say so. For me, it's more Neo did it through introspection,
Mhm.
while Smith needed it through numbers.
Yeah.
You know, and if you look at that historically, we know the people who amass large numbers and start forcing what they want upon things, it doesn't really work out.
No,
They could end up getting what they want, but not in the way they actually wanted it.
no,
And this
and when they
actually,
get it, it
yeah,
breaks, it
it's not
falls
fulfilling.
apart. Yeah.
Yeah, and this essentially makes the fourth one a very a very good movie, a
You don't
definite
have to
watch.
spoil that one though.
No, I'm not going to.
Good.
I'm just saying that based on what you just said, is what makes the fourth one so great. Especially since you resonated more with Smith,
Yeah.
you'll find that very fascinating.
Huh.
That's all I'm gonna say. Because you haven't seen the fourth yet, have you?
I haven't. I
No,
was.
you definitely
I'm
should.
gonna be honest. When I saw the multicolored hair chick, I was like, oh, this is gonna be another bit. This is gonna be another bait
Sir,
and switch movie. You know what I mean, right?
sir. I know exactly what you mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not surprised. But trust me, just watch it. The This person that you're speaking of isn't prominent for very long. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
So, but that's all I'm gonna say. But based on what you just said, I want you literally, before you watch the fourth one, I want you to go back to this episode and I want you to listen to what you said like a couple minutes ago here.
Sure.
Seriously, you'll be like, oh well, shit, that's pretty cool. So, no, I think the how do you say, the way they deal with each other is very symbolic of how people deal with each other in real life if you give everyone a larger meaning. Like, are they beneficial to you or are they not?
Yeah.
But they both have the power to do the same, right?
Well,
So you
yes,
have the power
Smith
to choose.
essentially gained that power by taking
Mm-hmm.
over people around him. Like, after he, again, spoilers for the third movie, Smith
Yes.
finds and takes over the Oracle and gets
Mm-hmm.
essentially a
Glimpse.
body that allows him to be on Neo's level.
You think so? Because I don't think that.
Now I mean level as in physical prowess. Was able every time Smith fought Neo in the second
Yeah.
movie, it had to be a pileup of
Mm-hmm.
Smiths. But after Smith attained the Oracle, he was able to fight Neo on kind of equal footing on a physical confrontation.
Oh, you're thinking about the last confrontation there? Like the
Uh,
last one where they're all like stood up and he only faces one of them?
yeah, he only faces one of them. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess you could see it like that, but I think the only good part Smith got from absorbing her was that he now thought that he knew how it would end, right?
Again, yeah, he got her a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
got her
I
sight
think
too because
yes.
he had that moment at the end there.
Hmm. Where he said that it was inevitable, and finally agrees and say, yeah, you've been right the whole time. I should have let you absorb me the first time. Then every part of this would have been over already. So basically, well, now we're mega spoiling the third, aren't we? Um, but yeah, um, quite simply, that's how I saw. Uh, I think actually, I think actually it was detrimental for Smith to absorb her because he then thought he knew what the ending would be.
Yeah,
And
that's
then we're back to what you said about an oracle, right? An
yep.
oracle can only tell you so much because if they tell you too much, then that perceived future that they have seen will ultimately be altered
Yeah,
because you told, right? And when he says, "Well, I've seen how it ends," then he was wrong.
yeah.
Yeah,
He saw what he probably he saw what he wanted to
exactly.
see and truly didn't start to comprehend
Yes.
before the end.
Yeah, because I think that was the last person he had to absorb almost.
But how was he able to bend the Matrix's power to his will like that then?
Because he had absorbed everything else. Remember, the Matrix had all of the different programs in them, and if you absorb them, you take away what
Oh,
they could do.
all
So the
right.
only thing left was him, right?
Yeah.
So it was the mainframe construct of the city, probably, and anything that was left was just him.
Yeah.
So the program of the sun and everything gone. Program of clean streets, people in the streets, all of that. He absorbed all of it. So there was
Oh,
nothing left.
okay.
He was everything.
Yeah,
And
he
that's why the machines needed Neo to go in there and let himself be absorbed so they could reset. Because he quite literally was the only connection into the
yeah,
program of the Matrix that was left.
and the threat of I did like that part where he meets what essentially is the representative of the machines in the physical
Oh
world,
yes,
and
that was cool.
he essentially just points out how Smith has taken over the Matrix and that it's
Yeah.
only a question of time before he breaks out and does the same to the
Hmm.
machines.
Yes.
Funny
So.
that the machines could feel fear.
Hmm. But then what I thought as well when I saw that, I was like, well, if he could do that and he despises them so much, why not let him out? Why not let him take over and then deal with what was left in the same way that they did with humans?
Yeah.
That's always intrigued me. Like, what would have happened if he didn't go in at that point,
I think
right?
what would
And
happen,
he waited.
what I think what would happen if that would allow Smith to win and he would essentially just become Earth at that point. It would be an interesting idea. Of course, it would just be
Hmm.
Smith all unified into form, humanity, and
Hmm.
rather machines would just be hive mind, because even in the Matrix, the machines themselves aren't actually a hive mind. The only one that actually would be that would be Smith himself, because
Yeah.
every single individual is Smith.
Yes. Exactly. That's kind of my point. So then you would only have to eliminate one entity instead of all of the machines,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So that's always intrigued me. Like, why didn't they just let him do that then? Because he despised them, didn't want to be there, all of that point, and
Well,
being
if
as
they got
full
into the
of.
physical part, he would have been unstoppable. If Smith got
That's what I
into
mean.
the robots, he would have been
Hmm.
unstoppable. It would be, well,
Well,
what
not
the
for
machines
Neo.
did. He would be too, because he would be into the physical world. He would have been
Yeah, but he
outclassed.
still stopped the machines,
Yeah.
didn't he? He still physically stopped the machines in the real
No,
on the
in the
real
real
side.
world, essentially the machines, they agreed to a armistice, or a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
peace.
Ceasefire.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know, but getting there, right? He blew up every piece of defense that they shot at the Nebuchadnezzar,
Yeah.
right? All of that. He just blew that up with his hand in real life,
Oh yeah.
and he also stopped the ones from trying to get them when they find the Nebuchadnezzar as well on the outside. He stops them and then he faints. Remember?
Yeah.
So he was able to do that. So if he's able to do that to the physical machines, that means that all that Smith could do is, well, quite literally nothing, because he's in the physical world. His, let's say, his brain would be in there, but the machine would be easily stopped because, well, he can stop them, right? So it would be the same on the outside as in the inside. Only he wouldn't have to let himself be copied and blow up from the inside. He would be able to just stop the one entity, and the hive mind would actually stop because all that was left was him, not other programs and other machines. Hopefully, I'm blowing every listener's mind now with this thought. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, stuff like that, was very intriguing to me when I saw the ending. I was like, why did they have to do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. But then again, they had to end the movie in some way,
Yeah. And
right? Or the
there is an
trilogy in some
essence
way.
of self-act. I believe that
Hmm.
Smith, because I do see what you mean, but here's the thing. I think that Neo could have that control over machines, but Smith was something more. I think that Smith could not be controlled the same way. It was essentially Neo went there to uh, get the machines to join his plan, you know,
Hmm.
because the machines
Yeah,
didn't have a chance to stop Smith. Smith was at their
exactly.
door breaking in, and they
Yes,
needed him.
but that was in the Matrix, right?
No,
That
no,
was on the inside.
yes, but Smith would have broken into and essentially done with the he would have done with the machines as Smith did with that last person on the on the Nebuchadnezzar. You know when they had that when Smith took over that
Yeah, but
dude?
he was flesh and blood then.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, then he was physical. He wasn't a machine.
yeah, but
You can't stop a physical being in the same way, right?
nope.
Neo would have to fight him physically.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
Smith had taken over the machines, he would have every single robot body. He would also had access to every single human body because he could actually exit them from the Matrix.
No, because that person was connected to the phone, right? That's how he ended up in his
Yeah, but
brain.
I'm saying that he imagine that he gets control of the machines themselves, right? He
Yes.
could easily just put every single person out of the Matrix capsules. Then each person that would be free from the Matrix would just be another form of Smith. What I view Smith as essentially a near apocalyptic level threat to the entirety of the world. It's just that only way he could be stopped would be with Neo going into the Matrix to stop him.
Yeah, he had to be stopped that way as a program.
Yeah,
So
because if if they had waited too long, he would have become too powerful to actually stop. In the
Mm,
Matrix, Neo had Smith's number, right? He had to play along in the fight and, you know, get it through so that, Smith would allow himself to he would be tricked to taking over Neo, thus making himself vulnerable.
yes, so they could upload the antivirus program into the Matrix.
Yep,
That was the whole point,
yep.
right? Yeah.
And
So
however, Smith himself, again, if Neo didn't do that, Smith would have taken over everything physically and like digitally. At least that's how I
yeah,
see it.
yeah, but I agree. But the point was here that if it did it digitally and he's the only thing left in there, then there would be no humans connected to it, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of the point. At the end, he's the only human inside of the Matrix that is connected,
Right.
right? Yes. So I kind of see your point in terms of, yeah, he could free the whole fields of people, but they would have an expiration date.
Yep.
Yeah. So all of them could essentially be Smiths, yes, and a hive mind, but they would in no way, shape, or form be as quick or as powerful or strong because they're just flesh and bone, right?
Well, I don't know
And
about you, but it seemed to me that the Smith that blinded Neo in that fight was he was pretty competent, if you ask me. He was pretty
that
dangerous.
blinded Neo in that fight
Yeah, remember? That's how Neo started saw that the possessed guy was possessed by Smith.
because he blinded him.
He started.
Now I'm
You don't you remember that Neo started? He became blind, right, in the physical world. So he started
yeah,
seeing things in the. He started having this.
yeah, the orange light stuff
Yeah,
instead. Yeah,
yeah. That is essentially how he could see that Smith had taken over, and it was at that point he truly understood the threat that Smith posed to the world.
yeah. Okay, I see your point. I see what you mean.
Mm.
Hmm.
Though again, this
Interesting.
is just my interpretation and far
Yeah,
from.
yeah, of course. But no, it doesn't need to be far from because we have the luxury of dabbing with it because the ending was so open.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that's how essentially I saw it because Neo managed to
Hmm.
broker a truce with the machines
Yes.
and or
Yeah.
maybe even a possibility for peace. But
Yes.
this was because Smith had become such a threat that the machines were desperate, right?
Yes, but that's basically to protect their mainframe because of the virus he was inside the Matrix,
Yep.
not his physical.
Yeah, but
Uh,
he would become a physical threat. Like, imagine now that Smith actually took over, right?
yeah.
All of everything, like every single machine, every single person would be Smith. There wouldn't
Yeah.
be any individuals. Every single machine would no longer have a mind of its own. Even the
That's
architect himself would just become a nothing. It would just be Smith, Smith,
yeah.
Smith.
No, just Smith, and that's kind of my point. Then you have only one entity to eliminate because everything else is him as well.
Yeah,
So if you get rid of him in the main frame of which his hive mind is, then you don't have to focus on every single group of them. You just need to reach that. Of course,
no,
it's going to be harder.
I don't think that would be it because you would Smith would have been a race, a species at that point, too, technically.
Well, too, yeah.
He would be unstoppable. He would have been a legion, right? The true threat of what of Smith wasn't what he was doing in it was what he was doing in the Matrix. It was essentially his potential.
Yeah, what he could potentially do on the outside. Yeah.
Yes, and from the inside out, he was essentially this disease infecting everything. Now, imagine if every single robot outside had become Smith, and then every single person inside the Matrix that now was Smith suddenly was released from the Matrix. Then suddenly that one dude who Neo had to fight in the Nebuchadnezzar before they arrived in the machine capital, that would be an entire species of people. I mean, you'd at least have world peace, but there wouldn't be any world
Well,
left.
yeah,
Like the
fair, but that guy was already released. So what I'm saying is he
yeah,
wouldn't be able
I'm
to
talking about
release the ninth in the same way.
I'm talking about everyone in the Matrix. You know how Neo awoke
Yes,
and
that's what I'm saying as
yeah,
well. Yes, everyone in the capsule, every battery, right?
yep,
But they're not in the free side of it the same way that that guy was, because those aren't coupled up into the matrix on the outside,
they are.
right?
The thing is, Smith had taken over everyone, every single person, every single human being, every man, woman, and child. Like, you know how Neo was before he came, just as he
Yeah,
was released. Imagine
that's
that
what I'm
happening,
saying.
but every single one of them are Smith.
Yes, and I get your point, but that's what I meant with the expiration date on them, because now they're people.
Yes, and
They are him.
what can people do? Reproduce. Suddenly, you have an entire species of Smith.
Fair.
Again, that is, I mean that if Smith had fulfilled what
Yeah,
he wanted to do, the
I see your
extinction of
point.
humanity and machine would have been complete, and the only thing remaining would have been Smith.
Yeah, true.
And that was why
Because he
the
would just
machines,
repopulate and overpopulate. Yeah,
yes, and that was
I see
why
your
the
point.
machines were so scared, because they couldn't stop him. They had
Yeah.
no hope of stopping him. He was just too much. And that is a kind of a beautiful irony too, because
Mm-hmm.
that is exactly kind of why the machines did what they did to humanity.
Yes, exactly.
But Neo
No, I
decided
see your
to,
point.
yeah, go on, go on.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just actually realizing your point
Yeah,
as we're speaking,
no,
as I'm not viewing it in the scale that that would lead to.
yeah.
Because I'm thinking, well, there's no way they could get down to Zion in time, and
Oh no,
etc. And also they are going to have kids, etc. and such as well. But of course, he'll just use the machines to reach that and just nuke them. Yeah.
exactly, because the
Mhm.
machines were already taking care of the Scion issue, and Smith
Yeah.
taking over the machines, he would just eliminate the Scion, and then
Hmm.
every human in the battery would just been Smith and released. And holy shit, that would be a lot of self-cest.
Had to go there, huh? But yeah,
Yep.
he would love himself a lot.
Well, at least he didn't struggle with that. Me,
Nope.
me, me.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was a cool scene.
That was a cool scene.
It uh you know how it's kind of, again, I like it when something that was a threat in a previous part of a story
Hmm.
suddenly just gets outdone.
Yes,
Yes.
and that was awesome. Yes,
Honestly, Hugo Weaving is, whenever he's in a
the
movie,
perfect villain.
yes. I mean, I don't think he's done a single bad role in anything. Like Elron, Smith,
Yeah.
hell, even his Megatron is on par with Frank Welker, and
Ooh.
that
Yeah.
wasn't
Well,
that wasn't even maximum effort.
I agree.
Yeah.
Also in V, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, V for
Especially
Vendetta.
there. That was a great one.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. Did he do that one before Lord of
V
the
for
Rings? No.
Vendetta is,
Is it after?
I think it's after the Matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely after Matrix. But is it before the Lord of the Rings series?
Lord of the Rings was in early 2000s. So
Then probably after,
yeah. I
because you
mean,
have the first.
we do have the sum total of human knowledge at our fingertips or our phone.
Very true. Very true. I'll give it a check.
Do so.
Give me a second. I'll check the year before that it was made. See, 2005.
Yeah. So after the Lord of the Rings.
Is it though?
Yeah, it was in Lord of the Rings like in 2003.
Mm, we'll see. Yeah, 2001.
Oh shit.
Literally two years after
Yeah.
the Matrix.
Oh boy,
And then
and Lord of the Rings is just magical. To me, that is
yeah,
peak cinema.
to me that was peak cinema for sure, but it's also strange to say, but it feels dated at the same time.
Oh, I don't see
It's
it at
kind of
all.
strange.
To me, Lord of the Rings is the eternal classic.
Yeah, no,
It
it's
never
mostly for
fails
me.
to
It's
hit.
just yeah. I mean, the cinematography of it and everything is very cool, but for me, it's just I think it's so watered out now with all of the series we're viewing and all of the extra moves that have come out and all of the stuff
None of that is
that they
actually
didn't.
none of
Yeah,
it
they
that
didn't
is Lord of the
even
Rings. So it is.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's just it's watered out the significance of it, in my opinion. So it's not as marvelous as it was simply because well we have so much other stuff and it's been made how to say this properly more insignificant than it ever should have been simply because it's been flooded by all of the other things that we have the privilege to watch.
I have to hard disagree with that. To me, Lord of the Rings never truly loses significance. It's just a bunch of people trying to copy what was.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then the whole it just makes a worse soup kind of, you know. If Lord of the Rings is the main ingredient, everything that's being added now is making the soup taste worse.
Nah. To me, it's just people trying to recreate the original work, essentially, trying to
Yes,
reinvent the lightning strike that was.
exactly. And they're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah,
And it doesn't strike twice and not in the same place.
yeah.
So
But
that's
it
the whole
doesn't.
point.
But it doesn't ruin Lord of the Rings for me. It's honestly does the opposite. Just reinforces that Lord of the Rings is just
Hmm.
timeless.
Yeah, I can see how you would see it that way
Yeah.
for sure.
But then again, I am a unapologetic fanboy of it. So
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, of course, a strong fan base of it will always see it that way. Um, but I only read the one book basically, and that was the one before. So I've read Silmarillion, and that's it. Never read the books because I think if I had read the books based on everyone who did, I would have enjoyed the trilogy at all.
that's fair.
I had friends who watched all three, and they were just pissed the whole time because there was so much in their eyes important stuff that was left out.
Oh. Oh, I see
Mm-hmm.
what you mean. It's to
Yeah.
me, I've essentially compartmentalized the books in
Mm-hmm.
I've compartmentalized the story. To me, Lord of the Rings is a saga, but it has
Yeah.
interpretations. You even have you heard of the radio drama from BBC from the 80s?
No.
The dude who plays Frodo is the dude who voices Frodo in that drama is the same dude
Mm-hmm.
who plays Bilbo in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Oh, the old guy, Bilbo. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
adult Bilbo. Uh,
Yes.
don't think about the cash
Nope.
grab
Yep. I
Hobbit
know.
series. That doesn't count. But like the thing about Lord of the Rings movie, it is the perfect, close to perfect movie because it knew and understood it could really cover everything because Tolkien's legendarium is just too vast. You can't
Yeah.
cover everything. But it covered enough in its own way and it focused on it made the journey to Mount Doom seem shorter because
Mm-hmm.
well, you have 3 hours, so making the time frame a bit shorter instead of the 2 years it took in the book, right? It seemed like it took far less time and it still managed to get the scale and importance on everything. It didn't really skip on the most important beats because let's be fair, Tom Bombadil, as
Yep.
much of a presence he had in the beginning, didn't really do much. He was there to be seen as power or rather magic that was beyond Sauron, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't
Yeah.
anything. He wouldn't even be able to control. He had honestly. I don't think that Tom Bombadil could be considered a sentient being because they said themselves that Bombadil doesn't work like that. He has no concept of permanence. He probably would have been forget. He would probably forget the ring, even if it's the most important thing in the world. He would just frolic around and have fun,
Mm.
and then he would probably just forget the ring, and then he would be on his merry way again.
Yeah, that's a fair point
Yeah. So
for sure.
they realized that despite what Tom Tom Bombadil represents in the movie and how he gave a lot of gifts and some sage advice and understanding, but in the end, he was one of the things that could be cut from the movie, and the movie would still keep
Hmm.
its feeling. Like, because again, they didn't cut how Theoden lost his son and the
Nope.
burial of his son, which is honestly one of the more emotional sagas. Then you have the part where they ride up on the Pelennor fields, see the vast army of Sauron knocking at the gates of Minas Tirith, and as everyone was starting to have doubts and be afraid, just Theoden grabs the moment and just calls out to his people to just embrace the end. Right?
Mm. Yep.
I get chills just thinking of it, and it is no, it's what I define as good is something that gets a reaction out of me. Like the Matrix
Mm.
still
Yeah.
kind of gets reaction out of me because like I get that little bit of hype. I get a little bit, I still get engaged, and that happens still in Lord of the
Mhm.
Rings. Like Lord of the Rings is the best example because even now it gets me emotionally invested. It gets me reacting. I still feel the same kind of amazement and jubilation at the speeches and at the moments. And
Mm.
thinking about it, I
Yep.
still remember a lot of moments. For example, in Matrix, when Neo sacrifices himself to stop Smith and
Yep.
avoid the true extinction of humanity and everything on Earth. That
Mm.
that has meaning, at least to me.
Yeah. No, I agree fully. It's a lot of what makes movies this important.
Yeah,
The only modern movie I've seen, and I saw it basically today.
yeah,
Yeah. Inception is very much the same involvement of your mind, I would say. Like
yeah,
you have to pay attention to the movie, but basically the movie brings you through the same thought process and setup. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's in the same way, right?
yep,
You die in your dream, you wake up. If you do it under the wrong circumstance, you don't wake up, and you're trapped,
yep,
right? And it's kind of the same, which made it very. I think it made it 10 times better watching Inception than if I hadn't watched the Matrix series before it. 100%. One of the better movies I've ever seen, and I can't believe you waited for this amount of time to actually see it.
yeah. Again,
This is looking pretty good, by the way.
yep. I'm actually pretty close to calling it done. Actually,
Yeah, looks very good.
thank you. I had a lot of fun doing this, man, and thank you for joining me. This is again the first
No, of
time
course.
you've been on my channel, and I would like to
Yeah,
have you on my art stream one day.
absolutely.
I don't think I'll be able to have one this week as we nah, maybe next week, but then again, this is time. This episode will not be released this week. We're talking about right here, so
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So don't expect me to pop up next week or anything like that. It'll have to be
nah.
scheduled.
Pretty much certain that by the time this episode is out, you would have already
Yeah,
been on the art check. Let's put it like that.
yeah, that is also very true actually.
Yeah,
So I hope you enjoyed past me, which is in here future me, which is quite the mind
yeah,
bending stuff, right?
yeah. We're speaking
Kind of
about
cool.
speaking about oracles, dude. We know kung fu.
Show me.
There's a lot of good things about Matrix 2 because it has so
Yes.
much good meme material.
Yes. I think that's air you're breathing now is probably the best.
Oh yeah.
That's probably the coolest, without doubt.
Oh yeah.
You think that's air you're breathing now? Hysterical. First meme I saw that was amazing.
So my favorite one ever, which kind of also tells how, again, how you're right with how fitting the Matrix is on our current day
Mhm.
society. Red
Yep.
pill and blue pill.
Yes, sir. Especially today, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure everyone watching this has most likely had a handful of the red pill. Let's put it like that.
Mm, yeah. That's getting pushed down our throats quite a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not happy about it that they're using this movie and the significance that it actually has to be pushing just the one side and then claim that that's how you're free, because I don't think it is. It's pretty much what the movie wanted it to be, meaning your own interpretation of what Neo represents, I
Yeah.
would say.
It's a very
Yeah,
it's a very personal thing actually.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I feel too. So I don't like that they're using that as a terminology for what's going on now, because most of it is borderline stupid stuff, and it drowns out the intelligent stuff,
Let's put it
and then
like this.
everything is put in the same.
Yeah. So as TLDR, politics are retarded.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah. So, with that very short, concise decree, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching this stream. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching this stream. And also, I would like to thank Besic for editing this episode. And also, my thanks to Robert Renato for letting us use his music. And of course, special thanks to my guest, Mr. Wenis.
Thank you. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Is there anything you would like to shill, by the way?
Wow. I could share how to find me basically.
Just
Yeah.
your you just have to send me your links.
Yeah.
Then I'll
Oh,
just put that description down below.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
But you can do a little bit of a call about what you call your channel and what you're about. A little bit of a trailer for yourself.
Sure. All right. So basically, not very connected to what we talked to about today, but I'm a car enthusiast. I run a YouTube channel that reviews cars and does road trips, things like that. So you can find me by following the links that are in this description. Of course, I would love for you to be part of that as well. I understand that our audiences might be vastly different, but it's cool to kind of blend into each other's spheres like this. So if you're into cars and cool stuff like that, then for sure, come in and comment in one of the videos and say that Tim sent you. That'd be awesome.
Dude, if you guys are interested into cars, I would recommend dropping by Vanis's channel. He does good stuff, and when it comes to talking about cars, he's your guy. He essentially, I think you and my big brother would get along real well. I'm the only thing I do.
Probably.
Only time I'm interested in cars and when I can drive really fast, or when they turn into robots that shoot lasers.
Fair. That's a fair point to make.
Yeah.
Lovely. It's a great end.
And for my little shilling, if you're interested in any merch, which is actually thanks to this guy beside me here, little Mr. Venice, you will be able to find t-shirts and other doodads in the description down below in our merch link. And
For sure.
if you like the drawings I've been doing, and you're interested in something for yourself, your own image, drawings, figure, character, you can either reach me on my Ko-Fi, Discord link, or just DM me on Twitter. And we'll get going there. Though, do note, if you want any furry or any stuff like that, it will cost extra. Just, everything has a price, but Jesus Christ.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
I was about to say, by all means, and for everyone that's been following this channel, you all know the talent that Trim has. So there's no point in saying that. But if you're new here, you're basically someone from my end of the specter. and you're a car guy and you actually been here the whole time, the talents that Trim has. He's made a logo for my channel, for my Instagram channel. Unfortunately, powers that be, uh, we both know his name, uh, just deleted that by me standing up for someone who got bullied, and I called some U.S. citizens what they actually are, and they just deleted the Instagram instantly. But the logo that he made is so cool. I still have it on my wall. I printed out a version and I have it on my wall because it's yeah, well, let's just say it as it is. It's a work of art.
Thank you, man.
It reminds me of me, man. The drawing that is supposed to be me. It Everyone I show it to is like, how did he capture that this is you? Because we all know this is you just by looking at this picture. I'm like, well, he's really just that good. So that's my testimonial of your work to whoever's listening.
Thank you.
It's amazing. He captures the essence of what it is you want drawn,
Thank you.
without a doubt. And this is proof as well. This is literally, this picture was something I told Trim to do as just a quick thought when we decided that we would be visiting movies and the Matrix. That, how about you draw that? And as you can see, it's absolutely awesome. So
Thank you very much, dude. I really appreciate it. Just it's awkward. Sorry. I'm not good with taking compliments like that. Sorry. Well,
well, get used to it. The more you
shit.
do this, the more people will praise you. So
Thank you.
it's easy as that.
Well, there you got my recommendation, and from
Mhm.
personal experience, Tommy is it's a very trustworthy guy, at least for me. So with that, I would like to again thank everyone for watching, everyone for helping. Again, you, Tommy, for joining, and I'm looking forward to next time we get to hang out. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.